Hey, what's up guys, my name is Roshan here from Reviews and Stuff. So today we have a Lenovo Yoga laptop. So we'll be disassembling this laptop and I'll show you how to replace the hard drive, the screen, the touchpad. I'm mostly doing this video to replace the keyboard, which I'll teach you as well, and all the other components available on this laptop. So let's start with the disassembly. I'm just gonna flip the laptop over so we can get the Torx screws out of the cover, so we can remove the cover to get access to the internals of the laptop. I'm just gonna use a Torx screwdriver to remove the screws out of the laptop. So I'm using a T3 Torx screwdriver to remove these screws, and I just kept them in a plastic bag to keep them safe because they're quite small. You should probably find a place to keep them so you won't lose them, because it's quite easy to lose them. So I've already taken out the screws. I'm trying to shorten the video as much as I can because it's quite long. The bottom case should just unclip quite easily, but just be careful you don't break the clips. Start from the top and move your way to the bottom of the cover. So here you have the battery and other internals. They're all quite visible. There's also a hard drive location. This laptop does not have a hard drive. I'm just going to unplug the battery right now, and all the other clips that connect to the laptop. We're just going to unplug the battery to be safe. So just be careful while removing the plug of the battery. It's quite hard to remove. And now I'm just going to remove the sticker that's holding the battery to the motherboard, and I'm going to stick it onto the battery so I don't lose it. And there are 3 screws that are holding the battery to the case of the laptop. So you can just use any Phillips head screwdriver to remove these. One's on the top right of the laptop on the battery. The second one's on the top left of the battery. And the middle one's just below the sticker in the middle of the battery. So now we're going to unplug the wires for the left and right speaker. So once again, just be careful while unplugging these because it's quite difficult, and you don't want to break them because they're quite flimsy. So next you want to remove the Wi-Fi antenna cables. These are the white and black cables that I'm showing you on the video. I've already unplugged them, so just be careful to remove them and remember which side the black one goes and the white one goes. These go across the grooves of the battery assembly. And once you take them out, you want to remove the wires for the left and right speaker that you unplugged earlier. These go across the same grooves in the battery. You want to remove these wires so you can take out the battery assembly from the casing of the laptop. So just be careful with the wires of the laptop speakers because they're quite thin and you don't want to break them if you haven't removed them from the grooves and you lift up the battery without realizing it. So just double check everything just in case. And once you've taken out the wires from the grooves, you can just simply lift the laptop battery out. So now you can see the touchpad of the laptop. This is where you remove the touchpad. I won't be removing it in this video, but it's quite simple and easy to do from here. So now you can remove all the rest of the ribbons that connect to the motherboard of the laptop. So they're quite easy to do. You can just use your fingers and unpin them. And now I'll show you how to remove the M.2 SSD from the laptop. You need to remove this to get to the keyboard if that's what you're trying to replace. Just use any Phillips head screwdriver and take out the screw, and then you can just pull the SSD out. Be careful to not lose the screw and the SSD because it's quite important, and the screw is quite small, as you can see. So now I'll show you how to remove the Wi-Fi module. It's just right there, and just use any Phillips head screwdriver again. Just remove the screw and you can just pull the chip out. It's quite easy, but for this keyboard replacement you won't need to remove the antenna, so I'm just going to put it back in. So now we'll remove the right side of the motherboard. This consists of the charging port. You place this if your laptop isn't charging. It's just one screw, and then after that we go on to the left side of the motherboard. We'll remove as many screws as possible. I'm just doing this as I'm going along. You can follow the video or find your way around it. First, I'm removing the screws on the fan module. This is what cools down a laptop. You'd replace this if your fan isn't working or your laptop's overheating. It could be one of the issues, or you might have to replace the thermal paste on your laptop. So I'm just gonna try and remove the right side of the motherboard, and it just pulls out quite simply, as you can see, once you remove the screw. And now I'm going to go to the left side of the motherboard. I'm just gonna remove the tape that's holding the ribbon on the chassis of the laptop. Just gonna flip this around so you can see it easier. So you can unpin the ribbon if you want to, and I'm just gonna remove the pin that's connecting the screen to the motherboard. You'd have to remove this if you want to place the screen on the laptop. So now we'll try and remove the fan from the motherboard. Just be careful not to rip anything out, because you might have missed a screw and could break something. There are 3 screws holding the fan out, and it's just quite simple to remove. And once you remove that, you can just unplug the fan and just take it out. Just be careful, the pin is again quite difficult and you could break it easily if you put too much force on it. Once you do that, now we'll get to the motherboard. I'm just double checking that all the screws are taken out and the ribbons are all unplugged. I'm just showing you the general location of the ribbons. You can double check them with this video and double check by yourself, just in case you don't break anything while taking the motherboard out of the chassis. But once it's all taken out, it should be easy to just take off. It's not difficult. And now you can see the keyboard. This is what we need to replace on this laptop. Now, because the laptop is still connected to the screen, I can't take the motherboard out, so I've just taken it off the keyboard and just put it to the side so I don't break anything. So the next part is to remove the keyboard to replace it. This is up to you if you want to do it, because it could potentially break your laptop, because the keyboard is by design stuck to the chassis with plastic molds, and the only way that I could see to remove it is by using a set of pliers and trying to break these plastic molds, as you can see, that go all around the keyboard to replace it. And I'm just going to go around and remove all the molds all around the laptop, and then I'll show you what you can do next if you do want to replace the keyboard. So now I'll show you how to remove the hinge mechanism that holds the chassis to the screen. Again, it's just a Phillips head screwdriver and 3 screws on each side. You just remove that, and then you can remove the screen and replace it if you need to. So next we'll get to the keyboard of the laptop. This is the most difficult procedure of the whole disassembly, so just be careful and do this at your own risk. It's quite difficult due to the keyboard being held on by the plastic moldings with the aluminium backing, and then it's also glued onto the chassis. So I'm just using a normal small screwdriver to remove the plastic moldings that might have not come off using the pliers. So I'm just going to go all around the corners of the aluminium backing. And just do this at a slow pace, just to be sure you don't break any of the chassis components, except for the small plastic molds. So now, as you can hear from the video, it'll need a lot of force to remove this aluminium backing. Just be careful, because the aluminium backing is actually held down by the hinge mechanism of the screen. As you can see, I did not realize this because I'm doing this as I go, and I've bent the aluminium backing quite a decent amount, but because it's quite thin, you can bend it back into shape. I'm just going to undo the screws on the other side of the hinge mechanism so I can take off the screen and the mechanism, so I can remove the aluminium backing to remove the keyboard. As you can see, you might have to wiggle this around a bit just to get a basic understanding of how it works, so you can remove the screen. Just please do be careful once again, because it is quite a rigorous process if you haven't disassembled anything before, as this laptop keyboard is pretty bad by design. And now you can just remove the keyboard. As you can see, it's just glued on, and there was glue. When you replace the keyboard, you can use glue to stick it back on, but I haven't. But after I did put the laptop back together, I could see that the middle of the keyboard did actually sag a bit. I'm just using some cloth to clean the glue residue from the laptop. So I've already put a new keyboard in, as you can see, but I haven't put any glue. I'd recommend to try and put just a tiny bit of glue in the middle so it does not sag, as I mentioned earlier. Now we're just going to do the process all over again backwards to put the laptop back together. So because we can't really put the plastic molding back together, we just try and screw the laptop aluminium back casing of the keyboard back as well as possible. I'm just slipping the ribbon cable of the keyboard through the holes of the aluminium backing. So now I'm putting the aluminium backing back into place under the hinge mechanism. I'm just going to fast forward through this quite fast, so if you want to watch it at a slower pace, you can change the speed of the video. I'm just going to put the 3 screws into each of the hinges as before. Just make sure that all the screws are tight and in place, so you don't have to undo the laptop all over again if something did go wrong. I'm just finding the location of the motherboard. This will fit into the grooves as it was before, and once it's in, just put back all the ribbon cables of the keyboard back into the motherboard, and then I'll put the right hand side of the motherboard back into place and put the ribbon back in. Most of these parts will fit into grooves into the chassis, so it should be easy to determine where it goes. And once I've done that, I've just put the tape back on for the 2 motherboards to join back together. And after that, I'll just put the screw back in for the right hand side of the motherboard. As you can see, the aluminium backing is flexing a bit. This is because the plastic moldings are not there anymore. So this is the reason why the keyboard will flex a bit in the middle when you will use it, but it's not unusable. I'll try and put another video showing this in the future. If someone does want to see it, just drop a comment. But you can avoid this issue if you use glue, as mentioned earlier. So I've put in the Wi-Fi module already, and now I'm going to put in the M.2 SSD back into place. I screwed these 2 back into place as it was earlier. Just make sure that you screwed it in tightly so that it does not come out of place while moving the laptop around. So after that, I'm going to put in the screws for the motherboard back into place. So now I'm just checking the back cover fits onto the laptop. As you can see, I misplaced the screws, so I'm putting it back in the right place. So if you remember where you took the screws out of, this would be a much easier process. And now I'm just putting the fan back in, so put the screws back in that hold the fan to the chassis and motherboard, and plug the fan in. Just remember to plug it in, because if you don't, your laptop will overheat, and this will cause further problems in the future. So now I'm putting all the rest of the screws back in and checking all the ribbons are plugged in properly, so I can move on to the next step. So next you'll put the battery back into location, and this will require you to put the wires of the speakers and the Wi-Fi module and the grooves of the battery. So be careful while doing this because you don't want to put the wires underneath the battery, as you want it back in the position as it was when you opened the laptop earlier. It's quite time consuming, so just take your time. I just used a small screwdriver to try and push the wires into the grooves because it's harder to do with your fingers. So using a small screwdriver will be quite helpful because you can push the screwdriver into the small grooves with the wires. So once you've done that, you can plug in the white and black cables for the Wi-Fi antenna. So I'm just double checking everything's put on back securely. You should probably do this as well just to make sure. And now I'm just going to put back the screws of the battery to secure into place. Just remember there's one on the left side, one on the right side, and one on the middle of the battery. So next you can put the cover back onto the laptop, but you don't have to screw it back in because you might want to try if the laptop works before you screw it in. So I'm just going to turn the laptop on to see if it works all correctly. Once it's all working perfectly fine, you can turn the laptop back over and you can put the screws to hold the back cover back in place. Anyway, that should be the end of the video. The laptop should be working perfectly fine with whatever you replaced that wasn't working. If it isn't working, try and drop a comment down below and we'll try our best to help you out. So that should be the end, and if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you hated it, hit the dislike button. I'll see you guys in the next one.